right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We'll get rolling. I'm really bad with wait time, so as an educator, you think I would be better. But anyway, welcome to the Define Learning webinar with the Puyallup School District. We're excited to have you here today, and we're really excited to share the story of getting the graduate pathway program ready. And Martha, if we could, can we put the slides up, please?
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Thanks, Dave.
Well, thank you. So, really, our goal today, and we're excited because we've been working with the district for, we were just saying, for almost a year to start to get this rolling. So, our idea today is to share how Puyallup leverages career-connected project-based learning to give students an opportunity to meet the performance-based graduation pathway. So, today, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. David Reese. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Define Learning. And Ms. Martha Vinton is here with us. She's the Partnerships Manager for Define Learning. And most excitedly, we have Dr. Maija Quinn, who's the Executive Director of Innovation and College and Career Readiness, and Mr. Adam Schakel, who's the on-time graduation specialist, both from Puyallup School District. So thank you both so much for joining us and for really sharing the story. I think people will be excited to hear how this is unfolding and how you're doing it, and probably most importantly, how it's helping the students succeed. So thank you all. So today, really what we're going to do, and Martha, we'll move on to the next slide, please. And just a very brief idea, but we want to talk about some of the challenges, how we've been working collaboratively, the idea for implementation and impact, and then with the idea of learning lessons and how scaling is going to happen. Martha's going to share a brief overview for Defined, and then what we'll do is we will answer any questions and offer any contact information for the future. And just to let everyone know, if you would like to, please just, if you have any questions, put them into the chat, and at the end of the presentation, we will come back and answer them and take as much time as you would like. So with that said, Dr. Delaquin, can I ask you to maybe share a little of your own thoughts and we'll get rolling?
Sure. First, we're excited to be here, so thank you and share this journey with you. We're still in the process, but it's been really helpful for us. With the Washington State Performance-Based Graduation Pathway, when it was launched, it was a really new, great concept of something, an option for students that were struggling with traditional tests or college level courses to meet the grad pathways. And so we thought that was really important, but in practice, it was a lot more complex to figure out how we were going to manage this whole process and work with students. You had to really juggle multiple ELA and math standards all at once, and you had to have rigorous kind of aligned assessments for students that had to be realistic in terms of can we assess them. We needed to have something that would have meaningful student engagement. So how are we making sure it's authentically connected to post-secondary and not just a compliance piece that they're going through just to complete the process. And then we needed some right supports. Who were going to be how are we going to provide scaffolds for students so that they'd be successful, especially our students that were below level standard in reading and some of our multilingual learners. That was a area where we didn't want to create new barriers on top of the barriers we're already seeing. And then it was really important to us that we had equitable assessment happening that was consistent across the district and different classrooms so that we were using a similar process throughout. And so those were some of our challenges that we're trying to figure out. How do we approach that and solve that as we looked at implementing the grad pathway option?
All right. And I can tell you, as someone who's collaborated with you, those are certainly challenges and and work that we've done together, and also work to continue to be done, as we talked about, continuing to adjust as we go. So with that said, Martha, we'll move to the next one. So what we want to do is I just wanted to start with the Define Learning idea, and then let the team from Puyallup share how it worked. So for us, what was really exciting in the initial conversations was looking at a career connected project-based learning approach. And so In our tasks, everything that the students work on is tied to a career for a specific audience. And the project-based learning approach really lets the students kind of work through processes and go from there. The critical piece was obviously the customized work. So we wanted to make sure that we had opportunities for differentiation for the students while providing the assessments necessary and then also connecting in the complex standards and practices. And then, through the process, we very much was ongoing support, conversations, and professional learning that was very much active modeling to support implementation. And so with that said, Martha, we'll move to the next one, please. Um, so for us, what we wanted to do is make sure that we had real world career relevant performance tasks. And so in working with the district, we identified high need pathways, clusters for careers. And so we used, as was mentioned, math, ELA, and then math and ELA together. And so what we did is made sure that the students had a task or performance tasks that they could do where they could engage in math or ELA and then also engage in those ideas, create a product while using, and I think that's a key, and applying math knowledge, concepts, and practices. So we wanted to make sure that was set up, and through the projects and the rubrics, the students had many ways through the project to demonstrate that understanding. Okay, Martha? And as I mentioned, professional learning in this case was absolutely collaborative conversations. It wasn't just stand and deliver. We had numerous times we got together, and each time we were having conversations, talking about, and I think most importantly, the teaching and learning that was going on and how best to inform the students. As we worked collaboratively, one of the pieces that came up was very much differentiation, meeting the needs of the students where they were at. And so that was a very helpful part of the process. Active modeling so that everyone involved could understand how to navigate the site, navigate the teaching, and navigate the learning. And without question, one of the most important parts were the revisions based upon the reflections. So that was really neat. So we had professional conversations and probably had ongoing revisions of about 4 or 5 times at least. And we know that that's going to continue just because of usage and how we can make it the best possible for the students. And then the other slide just to share, Martha, was really that alignment. And so just to kind of reiterate, for us, we look at what we do as career connected, students using skills they'll use beyond the classroom, performance tasks, which are in essence real world challenges, and then a pedagogy of project-based learning. So reiterating what I had mentioned, the idea was all of the tasks were tied into 5 career clusters. The students were encouraged throughout the process to apply future ready skills, as well as the essential practices and standards in the Washington requirements. And then they were able to demonstrate understanding through product development. So that was a really great way to get them excited, engaged, and understand that what they were accomplishing, as well as being a graduation pathway, also had benefits for them once they were leaving school. Okay, so with that said, Martha, and what we want to do, and I'll let Martha drive as said, but we just wanted to briefly show you the work that we did. And as much as it's on the defined site, this is without question collaborative work, collaborative conversations, reflections, revisions moving forward. So on the site, you can see we basically have math, ELA, and math and ELA. And just to briefly show you, we'll just click on the math piece, and you can see here as you look, each unit is tied to, yep, you can see, right, skilled technical science, business marketing. So that's where the career clusters and pathways are brought in, and then tied to that is a career role. So golf club designer, which has been really exciting. It has a lot of math in it. As somebody who plays golf, I was excited. And then when I looked at all the math that you need to be a golf club designer, I quickly realized that I'm better off as a player. Um, and so in there, we make sure to share the product, going from there. And then you can see there's a variety of different things. One of the products is always directly tied. We put in some of our other products because sometimes the students want to go further or do some engagement provide some opportunities. But ultimately in this, it's more about it's mostly about the golf club design, bringing in the math, and then, the rubric has, and we don't have to necessarily show that, Martha, but basically what we did is we brought in all the essential content and practices, and ultimately the students are meeting it or they're not meeting it. And the idea with this is that they serve as a formative checklist where the students can work through this in the areas they're struggling, they can get support and continue to work through it. And then we also have a variety of teaching resources, and the checklists are all tied to the Washington Department of Education, so that everything that is required is there and moving from there. So, you know, with that said, Adam, I think this is a really good time. I mean, seeing this and just having you share your ideas and your thoughts. And Martha will go back to the slides to guide Adam.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here, you guys. It was quite the process, as you guys explained. Working with you has been great. What we wanted was access for kids to get a grad pathway, as we all share that as a state standard. We have kids that might move in their senior year to where they didn't have the CTE pathway, or maybe they haven't taken our state test yet. So they still need to meet this pathway. So having something online that they could work towards was important in those situations. But also kids that have been with us for 4 years that have had some difficulties along the way, in CTE classes, or maybe they don't take tests very well. So providing those kids access to meet grad pathway with this program has been really impactful for us and really our district. We have 3 comprehensive high schools, and of course, we try to be aligned on as many things as we can, but schools are set up differently, but the standards and the requirements to graduate are the same. And the conversations, Dave, as you spoke about, and Maija, you spoke about, through the last year to get to where we are now. It's always been, yes, we can help you with that. It's always been, let us dig in for a little bit and get back to you. And now we have a product for our kids to where it's extremely user-friendly. It's relevant. I think they enjoy it more than taking the SBA. No doubt about that. We have a couple kids that I mentioned before. One who came to us this year as a senior. She's currently finished the food truck and just getting done with uploading her final project for that. And we have another student that along the way has had some struggles, but needs to complete the ELA and the math, and on pace to do that. So we have a teacher that oversees it. And I spoke with her just yesterday, but I've been working with her through the semester, and the program for her on her end has been pretty friendly as well. So for a first year, we thought there'd be lots of little things to figure out once it got in front of the students, but it's been pretty seamless.
Great. That's great. Thank you so much, Adam. Again, it's been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to hear those student stories, knowing that a year ago we were starting this conversation. So thank you. And all right, and Martha, we're gonna move on and ask Maija to share her thoughts and ideas and go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, so we have a lot of lessons learned, and we've gone through multiple cycles of review and revise, and I think we have come up with something that probably will still be tweaked here and there, but we've kind of got a solid whole system working now. And it's really been a team effort between Define Learning and our OTGs, our on-time graduation specialists, and then some of our students and teachers who have been trying the product out and working through the process. So the pilot was really helpful. It was really helpful to have that time to go through and test out things, find our glitches, then be able to meet back together and say, oh, this is what we need to do. Okay, then fix those. So that's been really good. Just having strong supports, one from Define Learning, but also strong district level and building level supports so that teachers and students are out there on their own just trying to figure out how do we do this project-based thing. That's what happened last year for us. And it was fine. Everybody's intent was good, but there was no consistency and it was really rough on students and people didn't really know what the expectations were. So this gave us a whole system of expectations and then supports and scaffolds. So that was really, really helpful. And then we have really clearly defined the alignment with the different graduation requirements, the different standards that are required with very complex rubrics that we have from the State Board of Education. So I feel like that ties to each one of the projects has been really like a load lifted off of us. And so that's been really nice. And it allows our endorsed teachers don't have to be the ones to oversee and support students, but they're the final sign-offs on did they meet the ELA standards and the math standards. And so that's really, really helpful. Our challenges has been, well, we're mid kind of pilot at the same time as we're doing it, building in the air. So a little bit on the time for teacher planning and how are they going to implement that? They've kind of had to learn how to do that as we go. But like Adam said, it's been mostly intuitive for students. And so more of the management sides happened from the building level support and the district level support of the teachers and students versus the teachers and students themselves. So I think that helps relieve some pressure for them. And then the really change management is always hard. So how do you change mindsets in terms of this isn't just a compliance piece, but how do we authentically engage students and make sure that they are really learning and demonstrating their learning? And so that's been a big focus and just having those conversations. And I think we're making great progress in that area too. I think the biggest tips we have would be really focusing on systems and making sure you're setting up the systems ahead of time. As intuitive as the system or the product is, that part's the easy part for us, probably not for Defined Learning because they had to go through all types of things to make it the way we needed it. But that part, they did such a good job on. That part was good, but it's the how do you set it up for success and then how much time do you spend in figuring out like how do we revise our processes for handling it. That's really important. I think that's going to be our biggest challenges in general, both on the front end. And then just building internal champions. Who are the people who understand it, start to work it and get excited about it, and then are able to be go-tos for other people. Those are probably the big things. Yeah.
Can I ask one question, Dave, before you?
Please.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you, and Maija, Dave, either one of you, kind of when and where this is happening, right? I think for a lot of the people across Washington that I've talked to, it's like, well, how do I do this? When are students going to work on this? Where are they going to do it? Who's going to supervise? Would you mind just elaborating a little bit on some of those logistics? You mentioned it a little
Sure.
bit, but.
Sure, honestly, we've been super creative in that realm. So we don't have a one size fits all everywhere. And I think that has a lot to do with who the students are where we're trying to support is also not a one size fits all. So we looked at who do we have that is a support at the building or the district level, and then who's the support at the building level. So whoever that might be. So for us, it happened to be we have some on-time graduation specialists. They're endorsed teachers that work with students who need credit retrieval or online supports. So they're already a support person we have. It could have been anybody, right? So it doesn't have to be a certificated teacher. It didn't have to be. So there's all types of things. We're all under budget crisis type stuff. I mean, it could be administrators. It could be maybe particular counseling supports. I mean, there's all types of people that might be good on that area, but we just happen to have those particular people at all 5 of our sites, 3 comprehensive and 2 alternative. So that's what we've done. We have a high school and beyond plan course, and that is one where students actually can earn a half credit by finishing their high school and beyond plan if they're behind. And at the same time, they could do some credit retrieval. So we also added this as another component. If they needed to do this, they could be enrolled in that class. So at least they're earning credit and they're in a class period. But we also have a lot of students who are served by an MLL, and they have a specialist that works with them. And so maybe they don't actually have a specific class, but they have someone who's helping them and connecting them with Defined Learning. So we have a 1-point person per school who determines whether or not someone's going to get access to Define Learning, and then they manage all the different people that might be offering it. We have occasionally one math teacher that just wants to really support a specific student that's in their math classes already and needs that help, and they're willing to, so they will do that as part of just helping that student support. So I think there's a lot of different models and methods. Our SPED, Special Education Department, has some resource teachers that are working with some of their students on IEPs. And so they might specifically also be a support person. So anybody who wants to support, we're doing that. And then in the end, we have a pool that we're working on of people certificated ML or math and ELA instructional. So making sure we have endorsements, and that'll be the ultimate sign off on the rubrics and the grad pathway being met, and then turning that into the on-time graduation specialist. So there's kind of layers of support, and we'll be able to shift. We'll be nimble enough. We can shift as staffing changes or courses. And so we try to be as flexible as we can.
Mhm.
And that answer just, wow, totally reinforces the tips. Focus on systems, right? Definitely, but fantastic. So, with that said, Martha, why don't we just take a couple minutes and let's show everyone Define Learning just so they can get a little flavor for it, and then we'll go.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, and thank you, Maija and Adam, for being here and elaborating. And today's focus clearly was on the Washington performance-based, excuse me, graduation pathway. But there's many ways that districts partner with us. There's many reasons. One of the most common is, of course, more competency-based learning, mastery-based learning, project-based learning goals, and just deeper learning in general. So I wanted to give you just a quick look at basically our ecosystem, but specifically focusing on, for Puyallup, we were able to make that custom collection for them. And you saw how and heard all about how we created the custom rubrics and whatnot to support their goals. But within Define Learning, certainly, like I mentioned, many of our partners use our library of ready-made tasks starting in kindergarten for that mastery-based, project-based learning, with the idea that they want to help give students that opportunity to apply their learning in that deeper, authentic way, allowing some voice and choice, and just giving them, like I said, that opportunity to demonstrate their learning and in a different way, helping get away from that sit and get memorization and just that deeper application. Really leaning into some voice and choice here for students, earlier and equitable career exposure. So, like I said, many of our partners use it for a variety of reasons. You heard about the performance-based grad pathway. We certainly partner with hundreds of districts for a variety of reasons, but that competency-based, project-based learning, mastery-based learning goals are probably one of our most common. And for teachers, you can imagine, the biggest barrier that we help with is time, right? We're saving them time on building these from scratch. Teachers can search by standard. They can go into the course tile like you saw me do. And I'd say the most immediate feedback we hear, most frequent feedback we hear rather, is that increase in student engagement, increase in student attendance, of course, also that earlier career exposure, in an equitable way is also important. Because, when we make the learning relevant and connected, to the real world and what's around them, that requires that deeper application, and students just show up differently. They show up differently with that engagement. So just wanted to show you basically that whole library there, and just share briefly about different ways we partner with districts throughout the country. So the last piece, I think, Dave, is that, did you want to add anything there about?
No, I think Martha, that was great. I think that's a really powerful overview, and one of the things just to kind of share there, and that we always talk about back from when we were students is that idea of defined learning, defined careers. The ecosystem is all about helping kids answer those two questions. When am I ever going to use this?
Yeah.
And why do I need to know it? I'm not probably using the sarcasm that is often used or I used as a student, but it's incredible when you can present those opportunities, how that works. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
so I think that with that said, Martha, we'll move to the last slide.
Yep.
And really, I know Martha and I very, very much want to say thank you to Maya and Adam for sharing. Over the last year, we've become incredibly collaborative. And for us today, it was just as exciting to hear about everything that's we've been talking about in action. And Adam, thank you for sharing the stories about the students. For all of us as educators, right? We're all in it because we want to help every student succeed. So, that's wonderful. And just to let everyone know, everyone who is registered, all of you today, will be receiving a copy of the presentation, the slides, and a recording. It'll also be going up on our YouTube channel in a couple weeks, so it'll be available there. And we don't have any questions at this time in the chat, but I know from past experience, a lot of times people would like to kind of digest everything, think about it, and then reach out. And I know that for all of us here, we're happy to share, help other people kind of start to think about what they're going to do. So I would encourage you to reach out, please, to one or all of us. And then, as we finish up, I just really would like to say thank you. And this is a great example of collaborative work and really helping all students have a chance to succeed, to graduate. And for me, the word I keep using is demonstration of understanding. Not all students are great at taking tests, and this is a great chance for them to apply what they're learning and have a real reason to do it and be creative and excited in what they're creating. So with that said, I will just end by once again saying thank you all. Thank all of you who've joined us and who are going to watch the recording. And please feel free to reach out. And so with that, we'll wish you all a good rest of your day. So thank you very much. Take care.
Have a great end of the
Bye,
school year.
everyone.
Take
Thank you.
care.